Round 2 of Sports Talk up next with your hosts Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. Don't leave us hanging. Join the show, 800-956-7266.
Okay, we're back at Sports Talk. Gave you a chance to take a break, run to the restroom, throw down some dinner, get a couple of golf swings in, maybe swim a couple of laps, take a walk around the block, whatever it is that makes you happy. And we're back to give you more happiness here on Sports Talk on a Friday night. Not much pitching thus far at Doug Kingsmore. Clemson up 4-3, a grand slam by Chris Williams accounting for the Tigers' runs. Miami's got 3 on the board, 2 coming on a home run in this inning, I believe. Top of the second. No. Let's see. No, solo home run in this inning. They got 2 runs in the first, Miami did. So it is a 4-3 Clemson lead as they play in the top of the second. George Bryan coming up in a moment as we go back to Harbour Town with Willie P. Let me wrap up the recruiting for you here because I told you this was a 15 under par version of recruiting. So Clemson has got Tayshaun Fomachan of Connecticut in the quarterback. Keep an eye on that. And they've got several other, of course, of their top targets coming in for visits this weekend. Defensive back Tyler Rudolph of Waterbury, Connecticut is at Clemson today. He's got several big-time offers. Clemson linebacker target Spencer Lytle has set an official to Wisconsin for June 15th. Basketball. Auburn transfer 6'3" Deshaun Murray tells us he would consider Clemson for a grad transfer season. He's also considering turning pro. Of course, he played his first 2 seasons at PC. He averaged 10.7 rebounds per game last season. Clemson was by to check in on 6/11/2019 Malcolm Wilson of Ridgeview today. A reminder, USC hosting 2 basketball official visits this weekend in guards TJ Moss and Devontae Bandu. I think Moss is a good possibility to commit. Don't know about Bandu. Just love that name, Bandu. USC women have been mentioned with Texas A&M grad transfer center Anrielle Howard. She doesn't have USC down for a visit yet, visiting, of course, UConn this weekend. She's been to Florida State and also plans to visit Tennessee and Mississippi State. She supposedly is a rebounder supreme. I think led the SEC in rebounding this year.
And she's only
Anrielle Howard.
5'11".
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets in there and mixes it up pretty well. That's recruiting. Check it over the weekend on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. And, of course, anything that we see or find out, we'll put on Twitter under the hashtag ST Recruiting for you. Let's go to Harbour Town once again for some birdies and bogeys around Hilton Head and the state of South Carolina. We welcome in, of course, George Bryan, 3 under par. That's the third. What's up, GB3? George, are you there?
Hello.
Yep. George.
Yep.
Hey. Can you hear us, George?
Man, I think y'all got the wrong number.
Okay.
Okay.
How in the world does that happen?
You know, it must have been 3 under par, but you were playing the wrong ball.
Holy cow.
What happened?
Well, I don't know. Brian's shaking his head. And we got the wrong. Anyway, let's go to is this really Will Pelagic? Is that you?
Present and accounted for, sir.
Step in and save us from ourselves.
So I know how much you hate personal anecdotes, but I'm going to give you one anyway. When I first came to this tournament with my father, I was standing on the practice tee, and I was talking to somebody who was a PGA Tour, covered the PGA Tour, and they said that our next guest was going to be the next big thing on the PGA Tour. It was Ian Poulter. He was playing one of his first RBC Heritages. It wasn't the RBC Heritage then. I believe it was the MCI Heritage at the time. It hasn't necessarily worked out that way for Poulter, who at 42 years old has just 3 professional wins, although one of those came earlier this year. 1 year after almost losing his PGA Tour card, he won at the Houston Open 2 weeks ago. He currently is 1 back of the lead, tied with Siwoo Kim at 9 under par, and believes he has a chance to stay in the mix this weekend.
Okay, we're going to get to Mr. Poulter here in just a second, as Brian is tied up. We're going to get to Mr. Poulter, Mr. Ian Poulter. We're going to Ian right now. I predict it's coming here in just a second. Ian Poulter, speak to us.
No bogey-free round. What was working for you today?
As you said, no bogeys is key on this golf course. It's a tricky golf course. It's one of the shortest we play all year, but it's one of the most enjoyable ones we get to play. Small greens. Target golf really comes into its own this week. You have to be on the right side of the fairway to a lot of these pins. For me, it was a clean scorecard, helpful to play in the morning, fresh greens, slightly softer, and obviously the wind wasn't quite as strong. So took advantage of the morning tee-off time, and hopefully we can continue that trend.
You know this golf course as well as pretty much anyone on tour. You've played here a handful of times. How much does knowing this particular course help you navigate it through tough rounds?
Definitely helps. I came in this week without playing one hole in practice. Yesterday afternoon was, the first hole was my first hole of the week. The reason for that, I needed a bit of rest on Wednesday. But I know the course pretty well. I've played it, many years now. I know where to hit it, where not to hit it. And today I played that bit where not to hit it pretty good. So clean card, good golf course, pretty happy.
You made mention earlier that this is not the longest course, but it's the smartest course. What makes it smart?
Because it's not long and because it's so tight and positional play is really key. It makes it a clever golf course. The wind swirls through the trees, so sometimes, if you think you know the wind direction, it can switch on you pretty quick. So it has you, as you second guessing a lot of the time around this course. That's what makes it clever. You have to play smart golf.
After the schedule you've played recently, where are you at mentally with your golf? I mean, how are you feeling this weekend?
Clearly pretty fresh. I mean, I'm up there on the leaderboard, which is a good position to be. So I had a couple of really good heavy nights sleep Tuesday, Wednesday, which was very needed. And, I've come out, feeling relatively fresh and, a couple more hard days of work before I can take a week off.
What did the win at Houston do for your confidence?
A win does anyone a huge level of confidence, a boost to the confidence, and it's great. You get a win, you can relax, be more aggressive, and enjoy your golf.
What did you learn to take into the weekend? Anything new that you pick up, or anything about the conditions that you picked up to take into the weekend?
Play the same golf I've been playing. It's obviously it's worked today. 7 under par, no bogeys. Just keep that form.
Okay, we do have George with us now, and that was Ian Poulter, by the way. Let's welcome in GB3 for some birdies and bogeys. And the funny thing that happened, George, was we called a number, and I think we misdialed it, but the person on the other end's name was George. And so Brian said George, and the guy goes, yeah. They go, all right, hang on, we'll come right to you. And the guy held on till we put him on the air and tells us we got the wrong guy. So anyway, sorry about that. It is April the 13th. That's a bogey. That's the first bogey for us today. So how are you, sir?
Oh, I couldn't be better. I'm down here getting ready to have dinner with Wesley and his family and our family, and kind of overlooking a little lagoon, and probably not too far from you. Hopefully you're down here, Phil.
No, Willie P is covering for us. He's over in the press tent.
Okay.
So Will Pelagic is there. You can go by and say hey to him. What do you think about the way things have gone for Wesley through his 2 rounds? He makes the cut, which is a step up considering some of his struggles this season.
His game is in great shape, and he's hitting it good, putting it good. In fact, kind of exciting to see, and it was a lot of fun playing with DJ. And you know what else got my attention? Some of our South Carolina guys making the cut, going to play the weekend, even in contention.
All right, hang on, George. We're going to let you come back and talk about those guys in a moment, okay?
All right.
Hang on. Don't go away. Clemson gets another home run up on Miami now, 6-3 in the bottom of the second.
This is the place to talk Tigers, Gamecocks, and more. Sports talk across the state on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, reminding you to check out foundersfcu.com, learn how they can assist you in all of your financial needs. Clemson pulling out the whooping stick on Miami, 6-3. Tigers threatening, corners, 2 outs, and it's only the bottom of the second in a slow-moving game at the Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Miami's not having a good year at all. More on that later. Let's go back to George and Willie P. Bill Haas coming up as well. But, George, you wanted to brag on some of these in-state guys having a good go at it at Harbortown.
It is so much fun. The crowds are just, it's bulging. It's great, unbelievable number following DJ and Wesley and Cooch today. But, hey, and I let Bill Haas tell it. He's playing great. He's at 7 under. And then Kevin Kisner, he's lighting it up at 5 under. Anybody making a cut on a PGA Tour event, they can win. And then I know Doc Redmond, the amateur, it was fun. I didn't see him play, but I watched him warm up on the range, been around him a little bit. The guy's got some game. And then Ben Martin, another Clemson player. I'm probably going to leave some of them out, but it seems like the South Carolina contingency, William McGirt, he's at -1. And I'm sure I'm going to leave out a few others. But with representing, best part is the number of fans down here, and they are wonderful. If you haven't gotten your ticket, you need to go ahead and do it and come on down and enjoy Harbortown. So,
you know, one of the things I talked to Wesley about, George, earlier in the week is the fact that while he and a fellow South Carolinian kind of played together earlier in the week, the guy who was getting all the love was Matt Kuchar. What's the deal? Why is Cooch such a fan favorite?
You know, he's so easygoing. He is fun to watch, too. His short game, spectacular, but he's got a smile that from many, many yards away, it's just embracing, and it's something that you want to pull for a guy like that. He's got a little swagger. He plays kind of simple golf, kind of down the middle on the green, but when he smiles, he just draws you in. That's as simple. And he's a great guy. I walked with his parents today. They're wonderful folks. So, like bees to honey, folks that have that magnetic smile just draw you in. I'll tell you what, DJ's a lot of fun to watch. His game is spectacular right now. And like I said, I watched Bill Haas some, Kevin Kisner. Kevin Kisner's out in front of us a little bit. Goodness, he's playing good. He's playing awesome.
Hey, before we let you go, your experience there at Harbortown, you've played it, of course, many times just on your own dime and also inside the ropes. So with weather on the way, the weekend here, how is the course going to change over the next 24, 36 hours to impact the tournament?
Oh, I don't think if we get rain, believe it or not, little rain, little moisture is going to make this course play easier. But if it's no wind to heavy wind, the golf course is just absolutely as pure as it gets. We'll hold its own. I'd love to see tough conditions for our South Carolina contingency. So the more wind and the tougher the conditions, the better off these locals have it. That's my opinion.
All right. Who do you think is going to win it outside of Wesley? Who's your pick?
I tell you, I hate to lock down on one or two, but you had an interview with Ian Poulter. He's pretty good right now on a track like this. Also, he's got a little bit in the tank. You know, he got heckled last year. Some of the fans gave him a hard time about the Ryder Cup, but wouldn't be surprised if he played well. But also, some of our South Carolina guys right there, Bill Haas, I got to tell you, obviously my son, he'd be a favorite, but any of our South Carolina guys, I'd love to see them play great. Never can tell, so we'll have to wait till Monday, huh?
Hey, it's going to be fun. Thank you, my man. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you. Look forward to it. From Bolero.
Yes, you got it. Looking forward to it. Thank you, George Bryan III. Good luck to everybody in the tournament, including the South Carolina guys will, including Bill Haas, somebody you caught up with today.
I did. He was one of the last guys off the course today. He got done just before we got on the air, and I even asked him at the end about being the low South Carolinian on the board, but also just about how much of a roller coaster this year has been for him.
So how would you assess your round today as you sit 2 back of the lead?
Yeah, it was good today. I mean, I felt a little uncomfortable off a few tees and hit a few bad shots, but got lucky at 2, hit a tree, probably would have gone out of bounds. And it knocked straight down, so I was able to save a shot or 2 there. And then a bad iron at 14 and hit the cart path and went out of bounds. So I was hitting some loose shots, so to be able to shoot 5 under, obviously very pleased.
I know that usually the trend is usually for people who tee off in the morning to kind of have the lower scores. You teed off in the afternoon and have a low score here. What was the secret behind that, or did you find some lucky wins?
I mean, just made a few putts, and the greens are perfect, and it wasn't that windy today. You know, I think on the weekend it's supposed to blow a little harder, so you'll see the afternoon scores really be affected a little more. So just great conditions, and fun to play well here. This is one of my favorite tournaments, and hopefully I can have a decent weekend.
What's the secret to succeeding on this golf course?
I think you got to hit it straight off the tee. From there, it's not an overly long course, so if you're driving the ball well, then you'll have a bunch of looks for birdies. So if I can do that a little better tomorrow, then maybe I'll have a chance.
What is a round like today and the first 2 rounds like you've had kind of do for your confidence as you've had kind of I wouldn't say a rough start, but a start that you wouldn't have wanted to the year?
Yeah, I mean, the year has not been anywhere close to what I'd like. So I think it just makes me feel good that I can do it. I mean, you have plenty of weeks where I was you second guess yourself, and so just it's only 2 rounds. If the tournament ended today, yeah, it'd be positive, but there's still a lot of opportunity for me this weekend to do something even better.
Even looking back to out of the accident and stuff was well documented and all that stuff, but it's kind of been a roller coaster year. Is this kind of a stabilizing effect time now for the fact that you were able to get 2 back-to-back like this?
Maybe so. I mean, again, it's only 2 rounds out of 100 or so I play in a year, so don't take too much stock into it, but I do need to see some results if I'm going to have a good close to the year and make the FedEx Cup playoffs and all that stuff. So, why not start it here?
What do you take from the 2 rounds today to take into the weekend? Whether it's something you pick up or something that you can at least harness to get one of the weekend? Yeah, just like I said, I got to drive it a little bit better, and hit iron at 14. If I can hit 2 good iron shots there this weekend, that's a key hole, and just get it off the tee a little better. I wasn't sharp a few times, but when I did do it well, and I was able to make a few birdies, so that's my key this weekend. You are the low man on the board, by the way, with South Carolina ties, so I'm sure it would be special for you to win this.
It'd be nice to be 2 back-to-back South Carolinians winning this thing for sure.
Thanks so much.
All right, thank you.
That is, of course, Billy Haas, again, the lone man with South Carolina ties. Kevin Kisner is at 5 under par. Dustin Johnson, 4 under par, tied for 26th. Lucas Glover shot 65 today. He is 3 under. The aforementioned Wesley Bryan, even par today to stay at 2 under par, tied for 42nd. William McGirt made the cut at -1, as did Ben Martin. And the Clemson amateur Doc Redmond, along with Jonathan Bird, who were tied 58 at even par. No Sam Saunders or Scott Brown for the weekend. They finish at +2, and they are done for the weekend. They're all looking up at Bryson DeChambeau, who had 10 under par after a 64 today, is your 36-hole leader of the RBC Heritage Corn.
And I want to say Xander Schauffele is in at 6 under. I only mention that because I want to make you proud of me that I got his name right. Xander
for the first time,
Schauffele.
For the first time. And it is also Peter Malnati, not Peter Manatee. Also,
I'm not good at multiple syllable words.
The Mizzou alum, by the way, 4 under par, tied for 26th as well. Malnati. So there you go.
Is he a good player? Has he done anything in his career?
I don't know if he has a win yet. He was low amateur at a major, if I do remember correctly. He did win once in 2016. He won the Byron Nelson.
Okay, very good. Some of the others going home. Luke Donald did not make the cuts. Kevin Na, shortest name in golf. Jason Duffner. As you mentioned, Sam Saunders. Bob Estes didn't make the cut. Who else? John? Billy Hurley III. He didn't make the cut. Paul Casey going home. Glenn Allday did not make the cut. Sam Ryder taking his cup home as well. He didn't make the cut. And we'll be back.
The latest on this weekend's race is around the corner. The full Monty on NASCAR is next. This is Sports Talk.
And round and round and round they are going at Bristol this weekend. Practice today, qualifying today. Let me give you the top of the board in qualifying. Kyle Busch on the Busch pole, 128.822. Kurt Busch on the outside, 128.804. Brad Keselowski, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Ryan Blaney, your top five. That's a Toyota. And 4 Fords. Any Chevys in the field? Oh, there's one. Kyle Larson. Then Paul Menard, Alex Bowman, Michael McDowell, and Joey Logano. So the Fords, Monty Dutton, dominating, qualifying today at Bristol. Any surprise to you with that?
Well, I think that the way the format is, I watched qualifying, and I really think it's sort of ridiculous because, you know, they went out there and in all 3 rounds, everybody just stayed on pit road and didn't make a move. And then they all go out on the track right before the session ends, I guess for, I don't know, optimum grip or something. And so you had everything kind of rushed out there, and I think that, I believe that there's great validity in the top few people. But for a lot of it, it's sort of a charade. And, you know, it's supposed to be to make everything more exciting. And when you have 20 minutes and nobody goes out on the track until there's less than 5 and then less than 2 in the next round, and the last minute, they had some people who had bad qualifying runs and didn't make the final round because there was such a crowd of cars on the track that they were clumped together and people got in each other's way in their laps. And so I do think that, first of all, both Busch brothers are superb at Bristol, and their being up front is absolutely legit. But I really don't think I don't think by and large through the field that there is much that it's that telling after the first few.
Is the only advantage to being up front at Bristol because, you know, it's a short track, everybody's bunched up in there, but yeah, at least at the beginning of the race, at the start, you're ahead of anything that could be going on behind you in terms of banging and wrecking and things like that?
I think actually that Bristol is so small and the field is so strung out, there's only a few laps before the leader starts lapping people. So I don't think it's much makes. I think that the danger is in being at the back of the pack, such as Kevin Harvick is starting in the back because he had a wreck in practice and had to go to the backup car. The problem there is you can be a lap down 10, 12 laps into the race because you're stuck back in the back, and then it's just only a few laps before the leader catches you. So I think that starting in the very back can be very difficult at Bristol. And obviously, you know, fast cars that are dicing have a greater chance of wrecking than a car that's passing somebody that's 5 miles an hour slower unless the guy falls asleep in front of you. So I do think that it's a big disadvantage. On the other hand, they have so many ways to get back on the lead lap today that, you know, I guess what goes around comes around. But it helps to start up front. But as far as, you know, the fastest car in the field catches the slowest car in the field pretty doggone fast.
Yeah. What about this new right side tire Goodyear is using this weekend? Going to make much of a difference?
We'll see on Sunday. One of my biggest complaints with NASCAR is that things continue to deteriorate in terms of attendance and TV ratings, and NASCAR constantly is changing to try to make it more exciting. After about 10 years of this, why not try leaving everything the same for a while? You know, they just have a new innovation where they're going to use, they're going to make the cars more stable and slow them down and put horsepower restrictions for the all-star race, trying to make the cars at an intermediate track not get so strung out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just saying, you know, sometimes when you have smart people in technology, if you leave the rules the same, the people working so hard to get it around will, you know, have, you know, it's just kind of like the difference between socialism and capitalism. Competition should raise everybody's performance. And when you change things constantly, I just think it can be counterproductive, and that they'd be better off sometimes to let the market handle matters of competition, which is really strange for me to be striking such a conservative pose on sports when I'm not nearly that conservative in other things.
I'm sure you read Jenna Fryer's piece this week comparing NASCAR today to IndyCar. In her opinion, maybe her factual belief, IndyCar is on the rise, NASCAR is on the slide, and bringing up some stuff about Kevin Harvick and conspiracy theories about things with his team and all that. What'd you take from all that she wrote?
Well, I do think that IndyCar racing is getting more exciting. I also think that it's largely a secret. I don't really think there's anything measurable. It's just that when I sit and watch a race, I think it's pretty entertaining. I've enjoyed watching the two Indy races this year, but I don't think it's really, as I said, I think that the problem with NASCAR right now is that something of a tipping point has been reached. It's sort of like a fad that has gotten out of the public's consciousness. And there's a certain point where you reach a certain point where nothing you do will work.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that NASCAR just has to prove their heels and try to wait for, you can't be the hula hoop forever. And I think NASCAR just has to wait for people to come around. They just got to, it's the same way when you're looking at kids. And 10 years ago, they all love country music. Now they all love hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll change too. I mean, fashion turns, but I think that right now NASCAR has reached a point where a lot of people who were once big fans have just tuned them out. And I think, you can't make people watch something. And so, as I said, I really do think that IndyCars have made some constructive steps, but I don't see there being a whole lot of evidence that it's kind of like they're not falling as fast as NASCAR right now.
Monty Dutton, the full Monty on NASCAR, with us here on Sports Talk. So Jimmy Johnson's in the longest slump of his career in terms of not getting a win. Lowe's is leaving. What's going on with that team?
I wrote a blog on this subject this very day.
Oh.
That is at MontyDutton.com.
Good.
But I wrote about this today. I think it's difficult to say. Jimmy is 42 years old. Earlier this week, he rode a bike 100 miles up a mountain range. But that doesn't make him a better driver. It just makes him feel better when he's driving. And I think that you have to expect, you have to, at this point, you have to explore the possibility that, number one, his crew chief, Chad Knaus, does not have the edge he once did, that perhaps Johnson is leveling off as a race car driver, and perhaps Hendrick Motorsports is leveling off. And perhaps those three of those things together, where all of them are just a little bit off, has made a cumulative effect that's quite dramatic. So I think time can only tell, but it's also true that for the first time in Johnson's career, he doesn't have a sponsor for next year. He's the last of the guys who, it used to be that everybody had a sponsor for the whole year. Budweiser, or, STP for Richard Petty, Goodwrench or Dale Earnhardt. Now everybody has, 7 different sponsors during the year, and every week the car has a different color scheme.
Mm-hmm.
Johnson's the last of the old timers there, and now he's lost his sponsor. Is that because Lowe's is recognizing that they're not getting the clout of having the hands down best driver, most successful driver in the sport? Or is it just that Lowe's feels like we've gotten as much benefit as we can out of NASCAR? But I mean, it's a huge commitment. You spend a lot of money sponsoring a team. Of course, they farm out some of it with some of their vendor brands, but he's kind of the last of the Mohicans in that area.
Monty, great stuff. We remind folks to go to your blog, MontyDutton.com, buy your books, and just look at your picture and your beautiful gray beard. And we'll talk to you next week.
It's getting hot. That thing may not last much longer.
Okay. Thank you, Monty.
All right, appreciate it, Phil.
Yeah, man. The full Monty on NASCAR. Monty Dutton here on Sports Talk. We're going to hear from the new women's basketball coach at Clemson coming up in a moment.
These guys, they never sleep. Check them out on the web at SportsTalkSC.com. Now, more of Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Thanks again to Monty Dutton, the full Monty on NASCAR Fridays. Here on Sports Talk, we give you NASCAR coverage Tuesdays and Fridays, and when necessary, throughout the week. All right, today up at Clemson, they introduced their new women's basketball coach, Amanda Butler, former high school star in Tennessee, former star at the University of Florida. Our good friend Kevin Cohen at the Point Radio did her games on the radio when he was working in Gainesville. Said that she is quite a fine person, was a terrific basketball player. Of course, she coached at Charlotte, and then she coached at Florida. Mm-hmm. She was out this year going around shadowing some NBA teams, the Thunder, the Celtics, the Pistons. She also did work on the SEC network. And today she was introduced by Dan Radakovich as the latest person handed the keys to a program that has been way down. They haven't had a winning season since 2004, haven't been to the tournament, NCAA tournament, since 2002, and she's ready to step right into it.
I want to make sure that all you guys know, as soon as this opportunity presented itself to me, I knew I wanted to be here. I knew that this was the right place for me and my family and our future and all of the opportunity that this place represents with what I believe that I can bring to the table, and the ways that we can advance the program, and the ways that Clemson women's basketball fans, especially of old, are used to. And that's what one of our challenges are. When I was choosing where to go next, as Dan referred to, there were two things that were really important to me. The first one was I wanted to be well led. And the second one was I want to be somewhere where women's basketball, will be very important. And it did not take very long on my interview here to realize that both of those things are 100% true. They were feelings, and then they were proven in the conversations and the time that I got to spend with the people who make the culture here on this campus, not just in athletics, but across the university, alive. And I knew it was something that I wanted to be part of. So as Dan mentioned, I spent a year that was truly amazing and very enriching for me personally, professionally. I had a chance to learn from some of the top organizations in the country, sports organizations, tremendous leaders, tremendous followers, just outstanding individuals. And it was so fortifying and it was so enriching. But one of the biggest blessings of that experience, besides the actual knowledge and experience, was that every day I was reminded how much I love basketball, how much I love coaching, and how much I cherish being part of a team. And then for that to be followed with God directing my path to Clemson, where those loves can be fulfilled. And then also where my passion and my enthusiasm for being part of a young woman's journey in such a critical and impactful part of her life can be met. I couldn't have dreamed of a better combination. I could not have dreamed of a better way for this year to culminate in a new beginning of something that I think is going to be very significant and very special. Those are all great thoughts and things about me that I want to share with you. However, we also need to keep the main thing. Some of the main things are here. And so I want to acknowledge the whole reason why facilities like this, why amazing academic support building and tremendous amounts of people and energy and money are committed to athletic departments. And that's because of our student athletes. And some of the young women that I got to meet this morning, I got to watch them work. And I'm going to tell you what, I enjoyed it. I like what I saw. I was encouraged. I was inspired. I had to restrain myself to not jump in and because I really just kind of wanted to observe and let them do their thing. And then we had a chance to talk this morning about the future, about how we're going to begin, about where we want to go and what that's going to look like. And I'm going to tell you, it was a true pleasure. There are tremendous young women in this program, and I want them, their families, and everybody here and everybody who's listening to know how excited I am to be part of their journey. And I consider it an honor and a privilege, and we're going to get a lot of things done.
Well, she's got a lot of energy, and she's had some success. And she's gotten exposed to the NBA game. She's good friends with Billy Donovan, of course, former Florida coach, now with the Thunder. So we'll see. It's all about getting the players, though. And can she recruit? Can she put a staff together that can recruit? Can she get lucky and have some good players kind of fall into her lap? And she's got to deal with the big enchilada up the road in Columbia, who is not going to be going away. He's going to continue to recruit at a high level and continue to probably get the first crack, at least for now, of the top girls players in South Carolina.
And of course, like Dawn Staley, she has to cultivate the fan base. And I think with Clemson especially, it starts with their student body.
Mm-hmm.
I think that enthusiasm for the women's game has to start with the student body. And she has to point out, look at the other schools in the ACC. Their students are out there at women's games. We got to have you there too.
All right, let's update the Clemson game, and then we'll get some tea time information for the third round of the RBC Heritage, and then we'll update some more baseball. Clemson still up 6-3, bottom of the fourth against Miami. Cromwell had a 2-run homer for the Tigers. That accounted for runs 5 and 6. This Miami team, by the way, not the Miami team you are used to seeing, man. They are struggling this year. Coming into this game, 7-8 in the ACC, 13-19 overall. The numbers aren't good. The batting average as a team in the 240s. The ERA for the pitching staff hovering up around 5. This is not the kind of team that you expect to see from Miami, and Clemson right now up 6-3. We'll update some other scores in a moment. But, Will, you got the pairings and tee times for that crucial third round tomorrow.
Moving day at the RBC Heritage tomorrow will begin at 8:10. That's when Ollie Sneeder-Johns will tee off on his lonesome at 8:10 in the morning. Some of the notables involving locals. Doc Redman will tee off at 8:44. He'll be playing with Keith Mitchell. 9:29. Ben Martin will play with Rod Pampling, the Aussie. William McGirt tees off with Charlie Hoffman in an intriguing morning pairing at 9:47. Among those, also early in the morning, Lucas Glover, 11:17. He'll play with Michael Thompson. The one that intrigues me amongst the morning tee times, Dustin Johnson and Peter Malnati. They will play at 11:35 off of 1T. Kevin Kisner will be at 12:15 with Brian Stewart. Matt Kuchar, of local interest just from people's fan favorite perspective, he tees off at 12:35. Charles Howell III and Bill Haas tee off at 1:15. And then the last three groups, Brant Snedeker and Roy Sabatini at 1:45, followed by Ian Poulter and Chesson Hadley at 1:55. Poulter and Kim are tied for second. We see Woo Kim and Bryson DeChambeau in the final group that tees off at 2:05 here at the RBC Heritage Corn.
Does your buddy from Missouri hate the state of South Carolina too, as much as everybody else from Missouri?
Oh goodness!
I don't know if you can survey him on the same comments that were made by the insensitive athletic director from Missouri. No,
is he friends with the governor of Missouri, who's got a few issues of his own going
on? I don't know. I'm not friends with the governor. I liked the old governor before this governor. The governor before this governor was very, very good. This one, let's just say, is in a little hot water, as it were. Peter actually, he graduated the same year I did, so we're the same age. We're both 30.
Yeah. Okay. Well, between the governor there and the athletic director there, you got quite a pair in Missouri.
I mean, the thing that I've learned about the new administration there, not only inside Jefferson City in the Capitol and inside the halls at Jesse Hall, they are not afraid to mix it up, which kind of gets them in some foot and mouth disease, if you know what I mean.
All right, let me update some other scores here quickly. Ole Miss leading Vanderbilt 1-0. NC State 7-2 over Notre Dame. Georgia 2-0 over Kentucky. Virginia 3-0 over North Carolina. Florida 1-0 over Missouri. Virginia Tech 2-1 over Louisville. Charleston College of over Northeastern 4-1. Winthrop 2-1 over Radford. Duke 3-1 over Florida State. Pittsburgh 3-1 over Georgia Tech. Liberty 3-0 over Charleston Southern. Campbell beats PC 6-3. Furman beats Wofford 4-3. Citadel over Towson 11-3. And Wake Forest beats Boston College 3-0. Will, enjoy yourself. Everybody follow his coverage on our Twitter and on our website. Have a great weekend. Pro, you do the same. Follow me from Clemson tomorrow at the spring game. We'll be reporting from there. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you Monday.